So, what's up? So what we want to do is we want to find the y equals mx plus b form. Actually, not the y equals mx plus b form, but the slope and intercept of these lines right here. I'll give you a few of them. Here we go. Y equals 3x minus 1. The slope is really just the number in front of the x term. So in this case, it's just 3. And the intercept is negative 1. That's it. You just got to find the number in front of the x term. That's it. That's all you got. All right. What about this one? How's about f of x equals 2 minus 5x? Now this time, the slope is actually negative 5. It's because the number in front of the x term is the negative 5. I know that usually we see it as y equals mx plus b, but, you know, I mean, m is the one that has the x associated with it, so in this case it's negative 5. So we have m is equal to negative 5, and b is equal to positive 2. Here we go, another one. Let's do this one. F of x. Notice how I interchange f of x and y. They mean the same thing. 1 minus 7x, that's pretty straightforward. M is equal to negative 7, b is equal to 1. That's it. All right, let me work on this one with you. I'm going to get a table. Now, I'll give you a table. Negative 1, comma 2, 0, comma negative 1, 1, 2, and negative 4, comma negative 7. There we go. X, Y. All right. Here we got a table. It's what we want to do is we want to figure out what the y equals mx plus b form of this is. Now, technically, I didn't explicitly give you guys the b, in this case, the y-intercept. But actually, I did, because what I've given you is the x value and its associated y value. Now, if you're looking for the y-intercept, the x value is going to be 0. That's kind of the definition of the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where does the graph cross the y-axis? Well, that always happens at x equals 0. Similarly, if you were looking for the x-intercept, you set y equal to 0. In this case, if you were looking for the y-intercept, which is what b is, you set x is equal to 0. So when x equals 0, what does y equal to? Well, it equals to negative 1, because the point 0, comma negative 1 is on our table. That's kind of a freebie given to you. So the b is equal to negative 1. All right, we're cool with that. Now what we got to do is we got to figure out the best way to find the slope of this thing. What I've given you before in the past is you've been able to find the slope if you've given you at least 2 points on the graph. We have 4 points on the graph, so we can choose really any 2 of those and we'd be fine. I'm going to choose maybe this one and this one, but hey, you can choose this one and that one, or that one and that one and this one. It really doesn't matter as long as you just choose 2 of them and you know that they're on the line. In this case, we chose 2 of them, they're on the line. So one of my points is going to be, actually, you know what, I think the best way to do it visually would be to graph it out, although, you know what I mean, we'll start it off with that, and then later on you won't have to graph it out. Sometimes I graph things out just to see a visual picture of what's going on. My x is equal to negative 1, my y is equal to positive 2. There we go. And my x is equal to positive 1 on this case, and my y is equal to negative 4. 2, 3, 4. There we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I could draw that line, but really the question I have to ask myself is if my slope equals rise over run, then if my slope is equal to rise over run, then what is my slope, I guess? Well, the rise, how high do I have to go? How high up do I have to go in order to go from this point over here, which is at height equals 2, because this point is negative 1, comma 2, and this point is 1, comma negative 4. So if this height is at positive 2, and this height is down here at negative 4, how high up do I have to go? And the answer is I don't have to go up any, I actually have to go down. So my rise is actually negative 6. because I would have to go down 2 plus an addition of down 4 to get down to negative 4. My run, on the other hand, is just going to the right. Well, how far to the right do I have to go? Well, that's pretty straightforward. You just go 1, 2. Because you start here back at negative 1, you go to 0, and then you go to positive 1. That's moving 2 spaces. So my slope is actually negative 6 over 2, also known as negative 3, if you want to reduce that a little bit. And so my y equals mx plus b is y is equal to negative 3x minus 1. All right, now technically you didn't have to graph it, and we didn't even, I mean, this idea of slope equals rise over run is really nice and all, but there could be an equation that you could use, and I'm not a big fan of memorizing equations, but if you wanted to, you could plug it into this equation. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We plug those in, that the y2 is negative 4, the y1 is 2, so that would be negative 4 minus 2 divided by 1 minus negative 1, 1 minus negative 1. So that's 1 plus 1. And this is negative 6 over 2. Hey, that's the same answer, negative 3. The reason why I graphed it for you is just to give you guys a little bit more of a visual understanding of where we're coming from with this. But as far as it's going, you can plug it into the equation. The equation is really just this concept of slope equals rise over run with, you know, these nice little subscripts and everything. I'll be honest with you, the reason why I don't memorize equations is because sometimes I screw them up. And if I screw this one up while I'm on a test, I don't want to, I don't want to get burned.